Sabres struggles on the road continue. A loss to Pittsburgh. What happened, especially in goal? That's coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome into the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. You can watch our show on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe button if you do. And if you would like to become a part of our Locked On Sabres text club, you could also do that. If you're not already a member, you can go over to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSabres. Sneaky Joe DiBiase here on a Thursday, Thanksgiving, football, turkey, and no hockey today, but the Sabres will be back in action tomorrow. A lot to get to on today's show, a little bit more of a brief show today, but recapping what we saw against the Pittsburgh Penguins and the problem that I have with another poor performance by Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And not to say that the immediate game before that was poor. He played very well over the weekend. But every other, at best, is what you're getting from this guy. There's a rumor about UPL, by the way, in terms of the trade market. There's a lot to get to on him. But we'll go through what happened in the game overall. Sabres didn't really get going until the third period, or at least late in the second period. And then we'll take a quick look at what's ahead for the Buffalo Sabres. So that is all coming up here on today's episode, which is presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com. Win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So, speaking of FanDuel, our bet of the night from yesterday did hit. So we are back up to the double digits on the season, plus 10.0 units after Jack Quinn. I had Quinn to record a point as the bet of the night. Did hit. Looked like he had scored 2 goals. They changed that after the fact, and Jason Zucker got credit for the goal, the first goal, not the second goal. So 1 goal, 1 assist for Jack Quinn, who has been very up and down this year. Started the year well, didn't like the middle, have liked him a lot in the last week with McLeod and Jason Zucker. And that line, again, you could argue was the Sabres' best line. They created the only 2 goals of the game for the Sabres, and they were getting chances a lot when they were out there together. And I would not touch that because I don't think Quinn has ever looked better than when he's playing with those two, with Ryan McLeod and Jason Zucker. So keep that going. The Sabres fall 4-2, 1-6-2 on the road this season. We said going into this stretch, 10 games, 8 on the road. You got to find a way to win at least half of them. Ideally more if you want to be in a serious playoff hunt here before the new year. And game 1 doesn't go well. They did play pretty well. I liked them really almost in every period. The first period was such a slow grind. I mean, there was not a lot happening at all. And they come out of the period down 1-0. Not because of anything I think they really did all that wrong. The only goal that is scored, this is where we start to get to UPL, Matt Dumba from distance outside the faceoff circle, taking a wrist shot with no traffic. Now, Bo Byram, stick out, does deflect the puck, and it flutters through the air. And you could say, well, that's not Luukkonen's fault because that puck deflects. But the puck didn't deflect immediately in front of him. It deflected way out. It was not a slap shot. The heat on the puck was not something where you couldn't react to it and adjust to it. But the problem on that play is Luukkonen is so overcommitting to this shot. It's a wrist shot from Matt Dumba from distance. Watch back where Luukkonen is headed on that play. He is sliding so far out to the right. I don't know where he's really going, what he's thinking the play is. If he's trying to make the save with his chest. Once in a while, you'll see goalies try to do that where they will throw their chest in front of it and they will move a big way across the net. He's also way out on top of his crease. So I don't know why he was trying to save it that way. He could have just made the save with his arm And he decided, I think this is the thought process of throwing your body in front of it. But the problem there is he took himself so far out that he could not adjust to a fluttering wrist shot that then goes over his shoulder. I couldn't believe that goal found the back of the net. So that was our introduction to the type of night that UPL was maybe going to have. Otherwise, like, there weren't a lot of shots generated on either side. I thought the Sabres did a pretty good job taking the crowd out of it early on and getting them settled into a nice, boring game. I did not like their play early in the second period. I thought at that point, time to get going a little bit here. You're down 1. Let's go. And they did not record a shot on goal for a long time. They didn't record their 6th shot on goal until there were roughly 25 minutes left in the game. So about the 5-minute mark of the second period to go. Then they rattled off a bunch in a row. And like, they doubled up their shot attempts in the final 5 minutes. So they played really well at the end of the second period, but did not find the back of the net. So then we head to the third, and it's a continuation. Sabres are the better team. I think after watching that game last night, I do think the Sabres are the better team. I think they are better than the Pittsburgh Penguins. And what's frustrating is the one thing that I was afraid of for the Penguins, they didn't even need, with the power play never really getting much of an opportunity. And then when they did, the Sabres shut it down. So you get to the third, and they're pushing, and they finally break through. First goal of the game. It took a long time. Right, we are 7 minutes into the third period before they finally find the back of the net, but they did it on a great little shift, great shift overall. Again, the Quinn, Zucker, McLeod line had Pittsburgh running around, and they finally find it. And Zucker, again, got credit for that goal. It was originally Quinn's. McLeod also gets an assist. They tie the hockey game. And I'm thinking, all right, here we go. They're outplaying them. Now they're tied. Before I could even have that thought, within 30 seconds, 31 seconds later, bam, puck in the back of the net. And that goal made me as angry as any goal that's gone in maybe this season for the Buffalo Sabres, other than maybe when Luukkonen let in that soft wrister against Toronto and cost them 2 points, or cost them at least 1 point on that night. Here is a play where, again, he's just overcommitting and scrambling around, not composed, and that cost them. These are the types of mistakes that you would expect from a young UPL, a rookie UPL that has just entered the NFL. Or the NHL, excuse me. On this play, the puck goes off the back wall. And because, again, he's overcommitted a little bit, he finds himself outside the post. So the puck actually sneaks in behind him, and he has to desperately, with his stick while falling, get the puck shoveled out towards the corner. And because, again, the source of all of this is he finds himself outside the net, outside the post, when he shouldn't be. So then he's scrambling around. He loses his stick. He recovers without his stick. And now we're at a place where a soft wrist shot along the ice by Brian Rust goes between the pads and in. 30 seconds later, Penguins have their lead right back, which is so demoralizing as a team after you have tied the game, to have it immediately taken back just like that. And again, one, you know you don't have your stick, so to leave a hole like that is not great. And to be so chaotic in the first place, to get yourself into a place where that puck can go in, is ridiculous. That should never happen. I don't know what he's doing way out there chasing the puck. Dahlin is there. He doesn't have to be outside the post. Dahlin is there. Caused him to lose his stick. That causes the goal. Brutal. It's a brutal, brutal goal to allow by Luukkonen. 2 goals that should not have happened. The Sabres should have been winning 1-0 halfway through the third period. And instead, they were trailing. Then, I do not blame UPL for the third goal at all. I do not. That is Owen Power. Owen Power is standing in front of the net, doing nothing. Eric Carlson throws in front. Kevin Hayes is cutting to the net. And Power is just not looking at all. Not tying up a stick. That's a brutal play on his part. And at that point, it feels like the game is over until Jack Quinn in that line gets you right back in it and gives you, 4 minutes to try to tie the hockey game which they did have a chance. They had a chance right at the end. There was a loose puck. I think it was the Quinn Zucker line again. They were unable to cash it. And then Connor Dewar throws in the empty netter, which might be ironic because I think I made fun of him for being on the top line, and he's the one who closes it at the very end. But at the end of the day, that's a game that should have been won, and it wasn't because you didn't get goaltending. In this game, goals saved above expected, or often in this case, goals saved below expected. The Penguins expected goals 3.29. They scored, or excuse me, that's the Sabres. Sabres were 3.29. Pittsburgh was 2.2, and they found the net 3 times. So almost a full goal above expectation. Again, the Sabres had a high number. Like, the Penguins got a great goalie game, and the Sabres did not, and it cost them. Back of the line in the rotation. The last thing to say about UPL here is a pretty unbelievable rumor from David Pagnotta of the fourth period. He was on Canadian, I think he was on radio in Vancouver this morning or yesterday. And he says that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, this is about him and the trade market. And, Pagnotta's not always, it's not Friedman saying this, but he's plugged in. He said, I think Buffalo would need to be blown away to a certain extent. You're going to have to overpay for a guy like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Throw him that, what? What does that mean? What is overpay for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen? Not giving somebody something to take his contract? That might be an overpay. Is a 4th round pick an overpay? What type of mentality is that from Kevyn Adams? Who do you think Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is? He's played 6-7 years of professional hockey now, including the AHL and NHL, and in both leagues had 1 good season. What on earth do you think somebody is going to give you for him? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is some dumb team out there that'll give you a prime asset for UPL. But I think any trade at all that gets his contract off the books is a win. That's an overpay, and they should take it and run with Lyon and Ellis. I'm about done with UPL. I have been for a while, and he continues to get chances to lose them hockey games, and it very often happens. Very often happens. All right, that is it for the UPL part of this game. We'll dive into a little bit more what else we saw and also what's coming up next on the schedule. That when we come back on this Thanksgiving edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres presented by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us cannot even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth between 401ks, savings, investments. It's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why you got to use Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that'll bring your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. You can organize your accounts, track your spending, get better handle on your investments. Visual dashboards, smart tools make it a lot easier to understand where your money's going and how to make it work harder for you. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. It's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Today's episode is also presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. We're back to double digits on the plus side in our bet of the night. Thanksgiving football, great opportunity to have a little bit of extra action. They have a lot of great promos for this game. You can get in on it with friends, do a group parlay. You invite them, and they could automatically plug it in. You get a profit boost off that. That's good for Thanksgiving. So get in on that. Hockey's back, of course, and you don't want to miss all of the action. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you missed the start of the game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel's live bets on everything from who's going to score next to your fourth quarter comebacks, your third period comebacks. Keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team is making that push. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here in the Locked On Sabres podcast. Other things we saw from Sabres and Penguins. We saw a really good defensive effort, I thought, for the most part. Other than that moment by Owen Power in front of the net. They got a little scrambly on that chaotic goal that Pittsburgh scored. I think Luukkonen might have put the defense into chaos mode, though, because he was out of the net and on the ground without a stick. So that might have contributed to it. But otherwise, the Penguins and Sabres played a very, very dull hockey game. Other numbers from this game, how some of the Sabre forward lines played. I mentioned the McLeod, Jason Zucker, and Jack Quinn line. Shot attempts for them, 20 to the opponent's 11 when they were on the ice. They outshot the opponent 8-4. They outscored them 2-0. Here's the best one. That line last night. Scoring chances when they were on the ice. 14 for Buffalo, 2 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. In fact, the only line that really got outplayed, and this is pretty incredible, and maybe they're about to break it up, and they did a little bit. I think middle of this game, you saw Josh Doan, Zach Benson flip. They were trying around with different combinations because early in the game, the Tage, Tuch, and Doan line that had been playing together for the last couple of weeks, or really last week at least, in 6 minutes and 49 seconds of ice time together. So, it's what? That's 4, 5, 6 shifts. In that almost 7 minutes of ice time that quote-unquote top line was together, they did not have a shot. They did not have a shot attempt. Didn't get a shot attempt while they were out there on the ice. They were 3 for Pittsburgh, so they were really a part of that dull game. So they did not really show up, but the big two lines, really the other 3 consistent lines were all awesome. I mentioned the numbers on that McLeod line. The Ostlund, Doan, Kozak line, once Doan got thrown around in a different unit, he went down to Benson's spot. 10 shot attempts for Buffalo, 3 for Pittsburgh. Shots were 7-0. 7-0 when it was Ostlund, Doan, and Kozak. I think Ostlund was really strong in this game again. He's making it really tough to take him out of the lineup. The fourth line, Krebs, Malenstein, Dunn. Shot attempts were 12-2 when they were on the ice. Shots were 6-1. Just the Sabres really got great play from every line except the one that was supposed to be your top line going into the night. But on the overall, they still outperformed the Penguins. And yeah, I think it's just a game where goalie really let you down. Can't happen. I would go with Alex Lyon next. We'll see how much he's really fell out of favor. If he doesn't play on Wednesday or on Friday against New Jersey, I don't know what he's doing here anymore. It's his turn. So we'll see if it goes well. Sabres and Devils, Friday at 4 o'clock. We will talk to you next after that game is over. A very quick look preview of that game. The Penguins, or the Devils, excuse me, have been playing better this year than last year. They are first in the division at the moment, and they actually been winning games since Jack Hughes went out. Last year when they lost Hughes, he got hit by Eichel behind the net. He was out for the year. They really had a tough time overcoming that. This year, he has his freak hand injury at a team dinner, and he's out of the lineup. They've stayed afloat, and they've been doing a pretty good job. They are, again, first place in the division, 31 points in 23 games. When healthy, I think the way that the Eastern Conference looks at the moment, you give me a healthy Jack Hughes, and I'm willing to say that the Devils are a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. I think they are a team that I wouldn't be stunned to see go on a run and make it all the way. Them, Carolina, those would be the 2 teams in the Metro, not just picking out the 2 teams top of the conference. I mean, I think going into the year, most believe that those were their top guys. But Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, Luke Hughes has developed into a nice player. Like they got a lot of depth. They got a lot of good players. Jacob Markstrom has had a bad year so far in goal, but they've got Jake Allen there to pick up the pieces. Having 2 veteran goalies ensures that one of them is probably going to give you a good season, and that's been happening with Allen. So, all right, that's going to do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We will talk to you after Sabres and Devils. One of the more fun nights of the year when you get the post-Thanksgiving home game. So enjoy that, and we'll talk to you after it is over here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.